Nancy Pelosi, I guess because hell hath frozen over, appears to have flipped on the whole stock trading ban thing. Although I will remind everyone, she's had multiple positions on this in the past. And importantly, it seemed like when she was in a position to do something about it, suddenly it didn't become a priority anymore. So we'll give her credit if she's on the right side of this right now. Just saying that doesn't necessarily mean she's gonna end up voting for it. But in any event, she has endorsed the recent effort that's working its way through Congress to stop Congress people from owning individual stocks, saying, while I appreciate the creativity of my Republican colleagues in drafting legislative acronyms, I welcome any serious effort to raise ethical standards in public service. The Honest Act, as amended, rightly applies the stock trading ban not only to members of Congress, but now to the president and vice president as well. I strongly support this legislation and look forward to voting for it on the floor of the House. So that does not appear to leave her much wiggle room. That doesn't mean that she can't wiggle. She's very experienced at wiggling, as all of those in House are. But I will see. I hope that she ends up voting for it. I would also say, though, it is very important, and I think that we've had a lot of reminders of this, including very recently, last week on the show. It can't just be them. It has to be their partners too. I don't know if it would be legal to extend it beyond that, but I would at least try. Because the issue isn't just that they act on the information, they hand over the information. Nancy Pelosi's husband did very well in the stock market for a long time. I guess he was just a genius, I suppose. And last week on the show, we revealed that one of these Congress people had gotten insider information and his wife immediately went out and bought a bunch of stock that tripled in value. As far as I know, that wouldn't even be illegal under this new law. And it clearly needs to be. And I just want to say, like, we're gonna go to more of Nancy Pelosi. I just want to briefly mention, like, could we normalize working class and middle class people serving in elected government? Like, why have we gotten to a place in a system that is ostensibly a democracy where we just accept that they're all gonna be fabulously wealthy? It doesn't have to be that way, right? We can choose to support people in primaries that don't have as much money and almost definitionally have a tighter connection to the sort of lived experience that we ourselves have. And we just don't do that. I don't know why we do that. I feel like maybe we should give it a try before this country fully flies off the cliff. In any event, Nancy Pelosi was questioned about some of the concern about her prior stock trading. Take a look.
Let me just read what he said. I'm sorry that we had some sort of technical issue. Nancy Pelosi became rich.
Why do you have to read that? We're here to talk about the 60th anniversary of Medicaid. That's what I agreed to come to talk about.
Yeah, but I wanted
what that means in the election.
I wanted to give you a chance just to respond. He accused you of insider trading. What's your response to that?
That's ridiculous. In fact, I very much support the stop the trading of members of Congress. Not that I think anybody's doing anything wrong. If they are prosecuted and they go to jail. But because of the confidence it instills in the American people, don't worry about this. But I have no concern about the obvious investments that had been made over time. I'm not into it, my husband is, but it isn't anything to do with anything insider. But the president has his own exposure, so he's always projecting.
Look, is he projecting? Yes, he's definitely projecting. But does it not have anything to do with insider? No, you're insider. Like you're the most insider, at least for a number of those years. Like, again, I understand that I'm just a poor peasant and I don't understand rich people talk, but like, you have special information, okay? You have meetings with the White House. You know what sort of legislation is being discussed, how likely it is to pass. You meet with foreign leaders, you meet with heads of corporations. You have arguably more insider information than anyone else in the country, or at least on the same level as other politicians. How could that not influence your investments? Almost anything you do can and should influence your investments. Like in theory, I pay attention to the news. I have never once thought to actually use that for investment purposes, but I could because I pay attention. Now, I just pay attention to what's publicly available. The difference between me and you is that you have insider information. All of you do. That's why it's insider. That's why it should be illegal. And again, like, Rick Scott earlier in the show just said, like, why is it a bad thing to make money? And like, not many people I think would go as far as Rick Scott and being so deferential to people who already have enough money to last them 1,000 years, like feeling entitled to more. But I think way too many of us have just had normalized to us that when you run for office and you get into one of these positions, It would be unfair for there to be any downside to that. And I have never understood that, okay? I was trained as a young man that with great power comes great responsibility. Responsibilities, limitations. Why is it unacceptable? Why is it a fundamental non-starter that maybe your ability to grow your wealth could be severely curtailed, let alone minorly influenced, like in this, where you would still be able to own a variety of different investments and mutual funds and all that stuff? Why is that unacceptable? You get healthcare, you get a guaranteed paycheck, you barely have to work, you're on TV, you're eating fancy meals and all that. Why can there be no other limitations on what you do? I don't understand that. And there will not be those limitations until we demand that there are. And not just from Donald Trump and not just from Josh Hawley, but Nancy Pelosi, who I will remind you could have championed this back when she was in power and chose not to, okay? So I will give her very minor credit, but it's basically worth nothing because it's like sort of a convenient position for you to take, especially, reminder, since this bill is unlikely to pass anyway. Why not come out and say that you'd vote for it? Easiest thing in the world to vote for something that's gonna end up failing. No, I want you to champion it when your championship is the thing that gets it across the line. That's what I think, and that's what people, I think, expect. And because they haven't gotten that, I wanna end with this. You have seen over the past few months any number of different polls about the current state of the Democrats. The Democratic Party, their brand identity, their figureheads, and almost all of it is bad news. Now, they're not alone in that. The Republican Party has gotten a lot of bad news. Donald Trump, his polling every week goes down. I don't even really cover it anymore because I feel like every time I load up Newsweek, he's reached some new low or something like that. That said, there are polls and there are polls. And so just generally people like not liking your party or whatever, okay, that's one thing. But there should still be specific questions that you have no excuse not leading on. And there's some recent polls, Rolling Stone has done good reporting on this, that should, if the Democratic Party gave a damn at all about the country or their brand, their likelihood of winning, anything other than just keeping in their comfortable position without having changed anything, it should give them quite a bit of pause. So on the question of which party was more corrupt, Democrats edged the Republicans out, with 49% of voters regarding the Democratic Party as more corrupt, 44% identifying the Republican Party that way, just 7% choosing both, neither, or equally corrupt. Now look, both of them are seen as very corrupt, but the Democrats are seen as more corrupt, despite the fact that the Republicans got an infusion of $250 million from the literal richest man in the world, who set up a lottery to get people to go vote for the candidate that he had bought in Donald Trump. The candidate who is himself a literal billionaire, representing a party that just the last time they were in office handed over trillions of dollars to the wealthy. When they get in power this time, their first priority is to once again hand over trillions of dollars. Donald Trump every day is like combing through the legal records to find the most wealthy, unrepentant fraudsters in the country, and he gives them pardons. He himself puts out a new product literally every day, okay? And amidst all of this, the voters are like, yeah, that's bad, but the Democrats are more corrupt. And look, do I think that they're wrong? Yes, I think that they're objectively wrong. I think that both are corrupt, but I think the Republicans are more corrupt. The issue is that with all of the work that the Republicans do every day to guarantee that people know that they're corrupt, that they're only there to serve their owner donors, they literally have every one of these billionaires standing behind them when they're at a podium. The fact that you are beating them on that measure means that something drastic needs to change. And let me ask you, whether you think that this is what they need to focus on or not, do you believe, what, I don't know, 180 shows into this presidency, do you believe drastic things are happening with the Democratic Party? Do you believe that they are fundamentally changing direction? I'm not even saying changing direction in the direction I would like them to go. I'm just saying literally anything. Are they doing anything? AOC and Bernie Sanders did their fighting oligarchy tour. That was good, got some people fired up. Pete Buttigieg is going viral on Fox News. Okay, we got that. Gavin Newsom is angering a lot of the Republicans. Other than that, in terms of like a platform, a foundational policy, a slogan, a new poster or whatever, are you seeing anything? And you see this poll? like, I don't even want to put it out there because I know that everybody, including myself, like the way that you get through the day politically is with the knowledge that surely the midterms are gonna go well for the Democrats. And I still think that they're likely to. Because, historic precedent or whatever, generally the party in power is blamed for how bad things are going, and things are going pretty bad, so that's gonna hurt them. But this could potentially change it. After all, what has driven elections, at least for the last 12 years, has been a desire for change. But if they think that the outsiders are more corrupt than the insiders, why would they put them back in power? And so, yes, champion the bill, stop the stock ownership. You know what you could do in the meantime? Have the official line of the Democratic Party be, okay, it's not illegal for you to own individual stocks, but if you do, that's it. You are not a part of our party. You don't get to caucus with us. You don't get to sit at our table, okay? You don't get to wear pink on Wednesdays or whatever. They could do that. It doesn't require a law, it doesn't require legislation. They could say, we're not allowing it because we think that it's corrupting. And we want to be able to present to the country that not a single goddamn one of us owns individual stock because we would never even want you to be able to suspect that we were doing insider trading. And you know what else? We're not taking donations from corporations. We're handing back any donations from the billionaires or whatever. We are gonna represent you and we are gonna make it financially impossible for you to believe anything else than that. And none of that requires a law to be passed, but I don't see them actually doing it. I'm gonna end with this, one more bit of the polling. When asked questions like which party could be counted on when it came to standing up to special interests, taking on government corruption, bringing needed change to Washington, or working to fix a broken system, Republicans beat Democrats out on every single order. I wished that I could just tear my head in half right now. That's what I feel like doing. Which one is gonna stop special interests? It's Donald freaking Trump. He is the special interest. All they do is hand over money to their donors. But again, why am I wasting? You already know this. I'm wasting your time by telling you this. I'm just letting you know that the Democrats have utterly failed in their messaging. And unless they are pressured, they're gonna do the exact same thing. They might literally do it with the exact same candidate. Kamala Harris is not gonna be running for governor in 2026. Maybe she has something else in mind. She's still gonna be young. She could run again. Okay, the Titanic is slipping below the water. Somebody please get a bucket.